What's going on, gamers? So we got some interesting stuff here from Digital Foundry today, guys. We got Xbox Ally X hands-on here. Digital Foundry is going to be giving us a deep analysis on this. I'm looking forward to it. And guys, I have to say, I have not seen this, and I'm looking forward to going into this with you. So another thing that's interesting, though, I read this earlier because I was actually going to talk about this. There's an interview. There's a statement here said by Sweeney with the Unreal Engine 5 that I don't agree with, but we'll get to that in a second. But first and foremost, let's get to this Xbox Ally X, right, and see what this thing's about.
Well, hello there, and a warm welcome, in a sense, to this, the 229th edition of DF Direct Weekly, which is based on our prior shows, a weekly show based on the latest gaming and technology news. Joining me to discuss our packed lineup, first of all, John Linneman. Hello.
Hey, Rich, did you know sometimes you feed on a tree frog?
Do you?
I don't know if you... Yes, you do. That's what you have to do to survive, especially
Really?
when climbing very long ladders.
I'm trying to figure this one out, but I don't even know where to begin.
Yes.
I'm here too, by the way.
Yes, Alex Battaglia, welcome. And of course, Digital Foundry is now a fully independent gaming media outlet. If you want to support the team, please consider our Patreon and also check out our merchandising wares, store.digitalfoundry.net. But I think we should just crack on with our first news story. Okay, well, what can we say? Gamescom 2025. I was going to report on this last week, but obviously I was away. But we did go hands-on with the ROG Asus Xbox Ally and Ally X.
Okay.
Both Alex and I took a look at the unit. Alex more fleetingly, I think it's fair to say, Alex.
Yes.
Interesting stuff, because this is essentially the first, what you might call, well, can you call it an Xbox? A hybrid console PC? I'm not even sure it's that. But Alex, let's begin by talking about form factor, because
Here's my thing with that. I've told people the truth. I know it's a PC handheld device, but who cares, man? You're playing video games. Guys, whether it is or not, is it going to really change your experience when you pick it up if you're interested in it? Who cares? But yeah, it's a PC device because a PC company made a PC device that's been in the PC world. And they came and did their collaboration. This is Microsoft's collaboration. You know, like you're partnering up for Halo. Hey, man, let me come do my collaboration. So I have my collaboration device. Literally, it's a collaboration theme device in the PC world. What's the problem? You move into Xbox PC. Is this Xbox syncing with a PC device? I don't see why that would be negative.
I think it's really simple to cover this one off. If you could imagine an Asus ROG Ally with Xbox style handles and those impulse triggers, that's essentially what we're getting here, right? I mean, I think probably the least surprising element is the form factor, but I think those handles are pretty sweet, and it did seem to make the whole unit feel quite light and very easy to use, I thought.
I'd agree with that. I would also say well, there's a Switch 2 right here. You can't see it. But the thickness of the handheld is actually very important for someone, I think. All of us would probably say that. I do have trouble with the Switch 2s in my hands. It's just very thin, and I need something.
I know what he was trying to say by that. I got used to it and adjusted. It's better than the Switch 1, though, because it's so much bigger now. Now I just feel like I have a freaking tablet. But I like the ROG as well, because when I go to Best Buy sometimes, I was actually there not too long ago. I was messing around with the ROG and picking it up. It's pretty cool.
To grip on. I think Oliver talks about having pistol style grips on all of his handhelds if he could, maybe like shotgun style grip.
But I think if you're going to be paying that much money for a device that's specifically handheld, I mean, I would expect the materials to be more richer. That would make more sense to me. Though I think both are fine, but I do like that grip as well, too, because I told you guys, I play basketball. I can palm a basketball, no problem. Straight up jump up in the air, slam dunk, no problem. Throw it out the glass, no problem. 360s, all that. So I always like things that can, I guess fit into my hands, too, because I have freaking huge-ass hands. So I know what he means. That grip on the Ally is pretty nice.
Perhaps even Oliver, who knows? But yeah, definitely form factor. Definitely one of the most positive aspects of what felt like 15 minutes with the ROG Ally Xbox X, whatever it's called.
Yes, I mean, there's not really too many complaints about that. It does actually feel quite light, but I think it is simply down to the amount of purchase that you've got. It is quite thick. I think it's fair to say both of them. I had a quick hands-on the non-X Ally as well. I also had a...
One thing I will add into is, the Switch is better for a long time because it's light. You can hold it. And that Ally X, after a while, like, all right, we might just sit down for a little bit. But for the most part, it's fine. But yeah, you definitely don't want to be carrying it everywhere you're going. You only want to handheld it when you want to handle it. Like imagine laying in your bed, relaxing, or back up against the door with a pillow or something. Yeah, it's pretty nice. But standing up, yeah, a little rough probably. Not for too long.
A briefing with Asus and Xbox as well, which we'll talk about shortly. I do want to talk about the Xbox interface. I think there's some really good coverage out there, particularly from As Ever, the Forks, which is my go-to for handheld coverage. Xbox interface. It's actually really well done to a certain degree. It does give you access to all of the different storefronts. It does seem to give you access to all of the functionality you're going to need. There's some really interesting tweaks that they've made there. They have made the control sticks like a first-class citizen for accessing Windows, which I think is quite important. What I am going to say, though, is that, what can I say? If you're going to be booting up this machine and you're expecting an Xbox, I think you're going to be a bit disappointed. It is a launcher, really, isn't it, Alex?
It's a PC.
It's a launcher, quite richly featured.
Whoa. Rich, are you saying this is not an Xbox?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Well, no, I was telling people this, but that's not the point. The point is that they just wanted a handheld aspect with an Xbox collaboration, but it's a PC launcher handheld device. So what? Because there was a big debate going on with that, with the PlayStation Portal and all that. And I was like, guys, we want to get to the truth and get to the truth. But at the end of the day, once again, does it lessen the experience that you're getting it for if it's still doing the same thing, whether it's that or not? You know what I mean? It's about, what do you want it for?
Sort of talking about a more philosophical side of the whole Xbox Ally debate. But yes, I think right now it isn't an Xbox for reasons we'll discuss later. But going back to the interface, it is a very rich and fully featured interface. Yeah. It can do things that other interfaces we have that have been made by the likes of Asus and Lenovo can do things that those can't. It's also interesting that you can do stuff like what is effectively sort of like, an alt tab. There's functions for that. And it's all kind of like presented almost like a console. But at the same time, what can I say? Let's put it brutally. What can I say? I found some pretty glaring bugs with the interface literally within minutes of picking it up. Xbox Play.
If I'm going to be getting this, I want to know exactly what it is. We're not soft over here. Tell me the damn truth. You know what I mean? Obviously, if I was into it, that's why I want to know exactly what I'm getting. Why would I want to fantasize about something that I'm not getting? No, I want to know exactly what this thing is and what it can do. Don't tell me nothing it can't do. You know what I mean? Because then you're lying to me and making me think I'm going to get something, and that's not what it is. That's why I tell people on this channel, I'll tell you what it is, and that's what you want to know, right? You want to know what the hell you're actually getting. You don't want to waste your money or have to go back and say, man, this is not what I thought, and be disappointed. So I tell people, man, just tell them what it is. Whatever it is, okay, let's see what we're working with. But as I told you before, it's not going to be like a Nintendo device where you're getting an actual dedicated handheld. It's a part of that ecosystem. And that's sort of, since you have to get that through the cloud or something, it's going to be better than what Sony was doing with the Portal. And they're working on their handheld next. So really, it's not even about looking at it going against Nintendo either, because I don't even look at it that way. That's not the way I'm looking at this. No, it's about, what does Xbox want to do entering the handheld industry, and this is their way of doing it. But I wouldn't look at it to compete against Nintendo and sell it, because it's like, no, dude, that's dumb. I don't think anybody's realistically going to be thinking like that unless they're just in their fanboy mentality. And it's like, this is unrealistic expectation, man. This is impossible. Even Sony may even think about what they're trying to do when it comes to like handhelds. No, it's more about, can I expand my community out a little bit more, and have it more accessible. But it doesn't have to be looked at in a console war aspect. Whereas like a Nintendo player is coming in and slamming that and dumping on it. No. The only reason I would say that would be plausible is if they came into your world and disrespected the Switch 2 and tried to slam it with that. And it's like, do you even know why this exists? You know what I mean? Then you have the right to defend yourself. But do not go out of your way to be an asshole and say it's Nintendo superior, or, you know what I mean? This guys, just don't do it because it's not worth it. And because they have just let them enjoy the device if they're going to enjoy the device. This is the way I'm handling it. We can handle it in a more mature situation. But if we're going to criticize it, we need to criticize it for what it is without comparing it to something else. That's how I really like to do things realistically. we do like our comparisons, but if the device is gonna improve it, we need to let them know what needs to be improved in the device, not getting over comparing it to something else.
Personnel were talking about a new build of Doom the Dark Ages that wasn't agreeing with the interface. But in the real world, there's going to be a multitude of software that may not be compliant with Microsoft standards. The first bug I had was with Doom the Dark Ages, and it basically looks like this when I tried moving in and out of the interface, just kind of hanged. There's not much I could do about that. The second time I had issues, the analog sticks stopped working within the interface, which was obviously making navigation difficult, right? On site, Microsoft staff had to step in to get the unit working again. It seemed to be some sort of joypad or stick
This is what console players, guys, I know that you're worried about if you get a PC and you run into stuff like that. You don't want to deal with that type of stuff. You would just rather just be the plug and play and not to deal with it. That's why I tell Microsoft, that's why I tell and I hope to Microsoft that you guys do not run into something like this a lot. Definitely with the next console too, with the Windows updates, messing up things and stuff too, and it could just ruin everything. That's the danger of this, but I'm hoping that it does not. You know what I mean? We just have to be aware of that.
Configuration that they could access that got the interface working again. The third issue I had was something quite different. I was playing Gears Reloaded. I went back to the Xbox full screen experience, then loaded Doom the Dark Ages. Now, it didn't ask me whether I wanted to terminate Gears Reloaded, so it went ahead and loaded Doom while Gears was still resident in memory, which hammered performance. This is stuff that kind of should be taken care of by the interface, but wasn't. And in that respect, it kind of felt a bit unpolished and unfinished. Felt very reminiscent of the kinds of experiences I've had with pretty much every PC handheld I've tested so far using Windows. Here, that front end was doing things it shouldn't be doing. It certainly didn't have the feel of a more sort of bespoke, curated console experience that just kind of works. Bearing in mind that this machine's coming soon, I think it's still got a lot of work to do on the interface on the front end there. But when it behaves, it actually seems to be pretty good, don't you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean,
So now you guys are aware. This is why I said Digital Foundry does so much for gaming, because they're letting you aware of this before you get it. This is good. So now we know what we can work on to get it better, rather than just letting that slip by and you getting it like that. If you were to get offended, you're not helping the situation here. This is called facing the problems and saying we need to deal with them. These videos are important. Now you guys know what's going on. And like I told you before, man, don't be a hypocrite, because you're going to find out that it's not as easy as you think it is. And you don't see me doing stuff like that, right? Blasting, going on negative videos 24/7 about this. No, I'm not going to do it because I'm not a loser.
So my experience, I didn't experience any crashes. But I didn't have as much time to spend with it, perhaps as you did, because as I got the thing in my hands, all of a sudden Jason Rowell walks up next to me and we're talking. So I was spending a lot less time looking at the device and interacting with it than I was with, than perhaps you were. But still, in that short period of time, what I did try and do is look through the menu system. And the settings were kind of some mix of Xbox settings that you'd see in there, as well as a number of more PC configurable ones. The device did have a frame rate limiter, for example, which you wouldn't obviously find on a normal Xbox. But that, I think, wasn't so much part of the Xbox PC standard, but it might have been an aspect that was provided by the Ally.
Yes, that's exactly right. Side. Yeah. Basically, all of the sort of PC tweakable stuff that you would expect to find in an Asus ROG Ally is there. It's still there, and it's still the Armory crate that is providing this functionality. It's just kind of like more gracefully integrated into the Xbox interface there. I did speak to Jason Rod.
I mean, you're talking to somebody who has a badass Asus laptop right now, high end. You know what I mean? I know about the Armory crate. It's right there. Oh yeah. Republica Gaming, ROG is my favorite. I like Asus. You know what I mean? I think when it comes to like something like laptop, yeah, they're always top tier. And I got mine for a good deal. This is like a 2000 or 2100. I got it for 1600 last year. And maybe in the future I'll get the 6000 models, but we'll see.
all about that, and it's like, well, shouldn't Microsoft be taking care of this? And I think that's basically one of the longer term aims that Microsoft are looking to do here. And there was continually the message that this is kind of like the beginning of the journey. They want to get some hardware out there, but we're going to be seeing a lot of features coming later, so to speak.
True. And the games that I did load up on it that they had available were Doom of the Dark Ages, as well as Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which I only had very brief amount of time with. But for Doom of the Dark Ages, I can comment on the performance. It was 1080p output using DRS, but DRS was at its lowest bound, which would have been performance mode, attached to FSR 3. And it was not using frame gen when I turned it off, because there was frame gen initially on and it didn't look right. It was like 80 FPS. FSR 3 frame gen isn't meant for 80 FPS outputs. And then, so I turned it off, and it was roughly around the 50 FPS area on Doom the Dark Ages first level. And that ran fine. And I alt-tabbed out of it, and then I force quit it. I didn't actually quit in the menu. I used like the functionality to quit the game via alt-tab, kind of like you would on a console, where you back out of the game and you turn it off from the game, from the menu, like you could do on PS5 or Xbox Series X. That was all fine. And then I loaded up Clair Obscur, and that was the lowest settings, 1080p FSR, performance mode, and I think it's FSR, or was it TSR in that game? Oh, I forget off the top of my head. But basically that was like 27 to 30 FPS in just the game's intro.
Right.
Which isn't necessarily the biggest GPU heavy area in the game. So it's still within the power constraints of the, this hardware, and UE5 works fine enough on it. You could probably tweak that lower in some ways. I would say reducing the output resolution would be another way to get this to be going, because 1080p is quite high. But I still think people who are taking this as an Xbox console, from even the performance perspective, need to rein in their expectations, because even, the Series S in such a location, due to the tailoring of it, would be giving you a better experience than I got just by loading it up blindly here at 1080p.
And they're charging that much for it? Yeah, no, bro. The guys, no. Yeah, I was right. But hey, it's up to y'all. No, I don't think that's worth the price. Yeah, there's no way. You're talking about Series S performance?
But that was really it. I couldn't induce crashing, but I can only imagine that the reasons why.
I think the thing for me was that the interface issues I encountered, it was really very basic stuff. And we were in the Xbox booth where we had an extremely limited amount of time. It's not as if I was trying to make it crash or to make it misbehave. I wanted to play some games on it. And, basically it's load up Doom, leave Doom, go back to the front menu, and that seemed to cause issues. Let's talk about Doom the Dark Ages, because you actually touched on something that was quite interesting there, which is that the default settings were effectively 540p upscaling to 1080p with on low settings across the board, which I think is fine for a handheld.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the controversial bit, FSR 3 frame generation, you said it didn't look right. I'd go further and say that it actually looked a lot worse and more less smooth than just running the game without frame gen at 50 frames per second. I think we both agreed on that. So I think there's going to.
And the reason why I say that is because it's not going to get the advantage it should be able to get with frame gen to make it get that peak. It's now hindered and not working and looking worse. Then that price point is not going to match that, because that's a bummer. And that's where, guys, you see, that's the problem with games that rely too much on AI upscaling. It is now hindering in that sense, to where you're trying to put it in that, hoping you're going to get something better than Series S performance, which you should, but I don't think that's ready yet. And it's just good to let people know that, we'll see what happens when it gets ready to launch, but it's good to get this early now.
There'll be a case where certain PC technologies that may be fine on a desktop are just not a good fit for a handheld. And although you've got pretty much the most powerful PC handheld money can buy there, those issues aren't going to go away, right? I'm surprised that Doom: The
Figure
Dark
so.
Ages was configured in that way, because that was the standard configuration frame generation on. It just looked bad. Didn't look VRR to me. Whereas if you turned
Yeah.
off frame gen and you're in that 50 FPS region, it actually looked pretty smooth, I thought.
That's very FSR3 frame gen. In my experience,
Right.
when you use it on any PC, it never quite looks right. It always has this like kind of
No, the videos is way better. I'm just saying.
juddery appearance to my eyes,
Yeah.
which is why I don't really like it. So I'm not surprised to hear that.
I wouldn't be surprised if, based upon how they were dealing with VRR in windowed mode over Vulkan. So that's a Vulkan game. And Vulkan, to get VRR working in Vulkan, at least under the NVIDIA driver, it's been a while since I touched AMD and looked at VRR under Vulkan. But that requires you putting it to a DXGI interface. I think that some drivers may have that configured by default. But basically, it's not running DirectX. And Windows only really is expecting DirectX window panes, right? So there's hacks in the driver to make VRR work properly with it these days. And that might have been what we've been seeing. And as we know, FSR3, if you're in the no man's land, it's going to act very much so VSync-like if you don't have VRR. Yep. So maybe that's what we're seeing.
Even if you do, there's no guarantees.
Interesting. I think that may be something to check into, because remember, we've run into things about this, guys. If y'all have been on my channel long enough, you know we do this. Same thing with the PlayStation 5 Pro and the PSSR. There's always issues with new devices. So we're seeing this now here, and now it's on the Xbox side. It went through the Nintendo handheld, certain things people were looking at, went through the PS5 Pro. Now it's time to see what the hell's going on here. As you see, we do it all on this channel here. Personally, like I said, it's not out yet, but we know there's a lot of work. And like you said, this ain't disappearing anytime soon. And how's that going to work being off of the desktop and the handheld like that? The FSR situation. So let me know what you guys think about this. If there's more important information, I'm going to do part 2 of this interview, because we're already 22 minutes in here. I wanted to give you guys a lot of stuff about this. And as you know, this is just the truth about the Ally. Now we know what's going on. Let me know what you guys think about this. All right. Peace out. Have a great day. Pony, sit down. I know you guys are going to have something to say. Later, y'all.